Well, welcome. This is the Tri-City Herald Editorial Board for the Franklin County Commission. We've got incumbent Brad Peck and challenger Kim Lehrman. And I'm going to introduce us. Just some ground rules. We do have a reporter, Cameron. He is going to observe the meeting, but he won't have any say in our discussion afterwards. So he's monitoring. So everything's on the record. We are hoping to publish the recordings with the editorials online, as long as it isn't too glitchy. So anyway, I'll go ahead and introduce the board. I'm CECILIA, REXUS with the Tri-City Herald. I'm an editorial writer. We have Jack Briggs. He is a retired publisher from the Herald. We have Laurie Williams. She's an executive editor with the Herald. Ken Robertson is a retired executive editor with the Herald. Matt Taylor is a retired editorial writer. And I think, oh, and we have Martin VALADEZ. He's joining us by phone. He's our community rep. So,
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, there's Martin.
There he is.
Yep. So great. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to give you 2 minutes for opening remarks and then 2 minutes for closing remarks. And we just always start with the incumbent, Brad. So I'll let you start with your opening remarks first, and then I'll time you. I'll kind of give a hand signal if it gets a little long, and I'll just start whenever you're ready. So.
Okay, well, let me ask first, how's the audio? I've had some.
I hear you just fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
Right. So I'm running for another term, obviously, and I will tell you that my prime motivation for this run is a concern for experience on the Franklin County Board of Commissioners. Right now, we've got, like we've always had, 3 commissioners, but come January 1st, Commissioner Bob Cook, who's been with us for many years, will retire. And so that seat will go to a new commissioner who will be beginning their legislative journey from day one with a pretty steep learning curve. Our other commissioner is in, I would say, the early stages. He's only partway through his first term. If we were to elect a brand new commissioner in the seat that I'm currently in, that would give us a board with 2 brand new commissioners and 1 that's nearly new. I don't think that serves the best interests of the county. I don't mean to diminish in any way the candidates who are running. All of us who are commissioners have started from ground zero, but I just don't think this is the particular time to be bringing in 2 brand new commissioners at the same time. I'm one of the more experienced commissioners in the state now. I've just been elected unanimously by the 39 county commissioners from the 39 counties to serve on the County Road Administration Board that oversees the use of our road and gasoline tax dollars for county roads. It's only a 9-member board, and only 3 or 4 of them are elected officials. So that's quite an honor and quite an opportunity to look out for Eastern Washington, of course, the whole state, but also Franklin County. Also appointed to the Legislative Steering Committee of the Washington State Association of Counties and the Federal Affairs Committee. Those bodies all work closely with the legislature. Those were all unanimous appointments from commissioners in 39 counties who have now worked with me for many years, know my temperament, know my abilities, my strengths and my weaknesses, and I'm grateful for their support. So I think going forward, Franklin County really, especially in these difficult times, needs a commissioner who's been there, done that. Next year will be a difficult budget year. In 2010, when we had the big downturn in the economy, I'm pretty much the guy who drafted that 2010 economy, and we had to make some cuts. They were difficult. We met with the staff and we did them judiciously and thoughtfully. And so we're headed down that same road. And I think experience is more essential now than ever.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Brad.
Thanks for the signal too.
Okay, all righty, Kim, your turn.
Hello, everyone, and thank you to the Tri-City Herald Editorial Board for the opportunity to speak with you today and answer your questions. My name is Kim Lehrman, and I'm running to be the next Franklin County Commissioner for District 1. I was raised on my family's cattle and alfalfa farm, where I learned the value of hard work. I also learned that the best way to get a job done is to work as a team where everyone feels supported, listened to, and respected. I'm running for Franklin County Commissioner because Franklin County residents deserve someone who believes in the best way to lead is to listen to the people who live in our county and then act accordingly. For over 13 years, I have taught over 1,000 students as agriculture and a welding teacher in the classroom and beyond the classroom walls. I left teaching to stay home with my children, but found other ways to serve students by focusing on improving my community. Among the things I did were serving as a parent chair for a collaborative organization, helping to increase student academic success, working to pass a local school levy and bond in 2016 and 2017, and coaching around 150 boys and girls in soccer and basketball, instilling in them the value of teamwork. I do this work to ensure that our children have the future they deserve. I will collaborate with our county officers, our cities, bi-county agencies in the Benton-Franklin Health District, and both the state and federal government. I will seek and value the 2,500 years of expertise from our hard-working county staff. I will also listen to the science regarding important issues such as COVID-19 and prioritize protecting the lives of Franklin County residents over politics. As a former teacher and FFA member and an active community leader, I know how to build consensus and make others feel heard. As a proud mother of 4 and as someone who has lived in our community for many years, I know the values we want in our county government, and I'll fight to uphold them.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Kim. So I'll ask the first question. Kim, you said something about you're running because you think the citizens need a commission that listens to the people. Do you think the commissioners don't really listen right now? Or can you just elaborate on that? What prompted you to run for office?
Really what prompted me is on April 21st, that event, if you will call it, from Franklin County Commissioners, maybe jump out of my seat and ask the question, who's asking those that are suffering from the Tyson COVID outbreak? Prior to that, the night before, I had heard about my daughter's basketball coach's father-in-law passing away from the COVID-19 outbreak. And prior to that, I had been praying for my good friend who I've worked on many different community service projects on, as her father was infected by the COVID-19 outbreak from Tyson plant and told to go home and quarantine in a single wide with her family and her small children down to age 1. Who was asking about how to lead them out of this pandemic? And so that's when I started doing the hard research of taking a look at our county government, county commission meetings, how they were ran, who had an ear to listen to who, took a look at the website and found out it was not multilingual, knowing that 40% of our community, especially as a former teacher, I've worked with many, many different families that don't speak English, and looking at how the county government opts them out of serving them because the language is not there in their first language in order to be able to understand how to be a participant in Franklin County's government.
So remind me, April 21, what was the event that you're referring to? I don't have all the calendar dates memorized. You said there was an event on April 21. What was that?
Oh, sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
That's when Commissioner Peck enthusiastically voted to reopen the county.
Okay, that first time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. I'm going to let Commissioner Peck respond. There was a lot there that he probably wants to address. So go for it, Brad.
I think 90% of what Ms. Lehrman said is true. We all have compassion for people that we know who have contracted COVID, and obviously, unfortunately, some of them didn't survive. But the April 21st event was something that really needs to be taken in context. It's the first time since 1918 that our country has faced anything like this. I think it's an unrealistic expectation to think that elected officials at any level, from the president down to the governor, down to county commissioners, we're going to have all the answers on day one. We were all pretty much in the same box of trying to get our arms around what was happening. I voted initially on that because we had conflicting guidance, at least the sources that I was hearing, about whether or not we had that authority. I found out within hours that in fact we didn't. And I'm sure Ms. Lehrman remembers that I was the one who immediately put out a very detailed public statement saying this vote was not appropriate, and the county does not, despite some voices saying we do, county does not have the authority to do this. And so I called for and was successful in getting a 2-to-1 vote to rescind that resolution. When it comes to leadership, it's not about getting everything right every time. It's about doing the right thing every time. And in this case, that vote was not proper. I did the right thing. I got it fixed. I led the board in doing that. And subsequent calls to my fellow commissioner, one of them, to reopen the county, I have resoundingly said no and explained why it's unlawful, what the consequences would be for Franklin County taxpayers, and why we simply don't have the authority to do that. It's one of those situations where if we're looking for commissioners that will bat 1,000% instead of 900, then good luck finding them. But the important thing is, when there's a glitch, you do the right thing and you move forward. We've learned an awful lot since then, and there's an awful lot more to be said by COVID, but I want to be fair about the time. So I'll stop there unless you'd like me to expand on some portion of that.
Well,
Wait, are you really calling that a glitch? A glitch?
That sounds like, is that Martine?
yes, it's
Yeah.
Martine.
So use whatever term in the written response that I put out, which is a matter of public record. It details exactly what it was. I said it was an error and the board should not have taken that vote. Like a lot of people, I was leaning forward to do anything and everything we could to open up business for the local community. And it was still fairly early on. We didn't know everything about the virus, and we still don't. But the short answer is, as I said in my statement, we shouldn't have made that vote. It needed to be corrected. I was the one that corrected it, and I did it within, I think, 24, 48 hours. And everybody, not just our county, but other counties in the state, learned from that. We were not the only county. There were multiple counties that did exactly the same thing that we did, based on guidance that was conflicting and a little confusing. But no, it was certainly more than a glitch, but call it what you will. The important thing is it was identified, it was corrected, and we move forward.
So
I guess I would ask Brad if, what is your assessment of how the health district is doing with managing our part of this pandemic? And do you feel like their funding is high enough or too low?
Well, let's start with the funding piece, if I may. I pushed for funding for the health district in opposition, frankly, to some of my fellow commissioners. We carved out $1 million initially. And if you check the meeting minutes and records, you'll see that I'm the one that's been calling to make sure that they have adequate funding. So far, I've been told out of the initial $1 million, about 700,000 has been determined that that's about the number they need. We're keeping the additional balance available to them. And if they go through that and they need more, then I will help find funding for them. I'll also point out, though, with respect to funding, I pushed as hard as I think anybody reasonably could in my position to get professional communications staffing in the county and in the health district to make sure that we were reaching audiences, because I was convinced that, frankly, we were not. And the pandemic only heightened the need for that communication. So I did push for bilingual communication. A professional consultant was eventually brought on. And while we're still not 100% of where I'd like us to be, the communication is much better than it was initially.
And the first part of that, how do you feel like they've done?
I'm sorry.
How the district has done in managing this situation? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I want to be fair because this hasn't been in front of us in more than a century. And it's easy to sit around and criticize the efforts of other people. I will tell you, my assessment is we can always do better. We should always strive to do better. I think early on, we didn't do as well in the communication as we needed to. We're improving significantly. I've had some concerns about the structure in who was leading the effort and reporting to the community. It was a lot of that was my pushback that resulted in Jason Zakaria, the executive director, and Dr. Amy Person leading those communications with elected leaders and with the community instead of people 2 or 3 layers down in the organization. The leaders needed to step forward. They have. I'm grateful for that. That's not a criticism of the folks at the staff level, but this really called for leadership to be visible and to step up. And I'll just say quickly that it's been suggested in some cases that the health district board being populated by commissioners from 2 counties is an issue. I think it is. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that some more as we go through.
Kim, what's been your position on the health districts handling within our community and their budget?
I think we should absolutely support the Benton Franklin Health District in all their efforts. Their number one issue, if you go ahead and read through the responsibilities, is educating the community about public health. So they are trying to work really hard to be able to express how to be able to suppress the pandemic, how to decrease the spread of it, and trying to stay caught up with the state, with the CDC, and trying to be able to get as much information out as possible in a streamlined fashion that is understandable. You can see throughout since March how many times they've updated their methods of communicating out via Facebook or on their own web page. One of the things that was really, really hard to stomach was in late May, there was a Benton Franklin Board of Directors meeting that was available to the entire public. Anyone that wanted to hop on the Zoom event could be able to watch that. And during this meeting, Amy Persons kept getting hounded over and over about how they're spending their money. Were they hiring contact tracers? Did they hire any new staff? And she kept getting hit after question with this negative connotation of lack of trust. And eventually at one point she broke, and you could hear in her voice that she was representing all the hardworking frontline doctors and nurses and EMTs who are working to be able to help take care of our sick and dying loved ones of the community. And she broke, and you can hear it in her voice. And yet no commissioner came forward and asked that individual to tone it down, to stop, or maybe if they were afraid to do it in that kind of manner, to then highlight how hard that these individuals are working, all this overtime that's unpaid, all this invested energy of care and compassion. It takes a toll on an individual who's caring for a sick one, let alone a sick one that's dying in the hospital that can't be able to see their own family members because they're not allowed to be in the hospital with those that are infected. So I saw that as a lack of respect, a lack of confidence in the Benton Franklin Health District. And then when it was discussed about money and how to be able to support the Benton Franklin Health District in their ask, it did not come across as, let's do this. We need to rally around our Benton Franklin Health District in order to be able to protect and be able to save our residents, and in order to be able to open up our businesses. Instead, they were left to defend themselves in the middle of a pandemic. And it was heartbreaking and infuriating at the same time. One of the things that I noticed about during the pandemic is in late June during Pride Month. Instead of addressing about the pandemic and how we need to do a better job of educating and be able to help really put out the PSA about wearing our masks. You saw mayors do it, you saw local celebrities do it, but you didn't see our county commissioners step forward and create a PSA. In fact, during one of the coffees with Carl, when he was leading the questions and he asked our administrator, Keith Johnson, will your commissioners consider coming forward and doing a PSA, either writing a letter, doing a video of wearing your mask to be able to reopen up? Will they do that? Keith Johnson quickly changed the subject. Yet Benton County's administrator, he flat out answered, yes, that's something that we could talk about and support.
So Laurie, there's a lot of content there I need to respond to.
I was going to go ahead and finish up. So back
Real
in
quick,
June,
Pam. Real
Sure.
quick.
during the June pandemic, I was really disheartened when I heard that Commissioner Peck was, I guess, correcting, I think might be a term he might be open to, on correcting the Benton Franklin Health District and the role of educating the public about their services. And at that time, that was about the Gay Pride Month and about acknowledging the marginalized community, that there is services available at the Benton Franklin Health District. And that was unfortunate that we saw another swipe at the Benton Franklin Health District during a pandemic, during a time where our whole entire community is reliant on them.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Brad.
So as the time-honored saying goes, you're entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. The fact of the matter is that the reference to the board meeting in which Dr. Person was being treated unprofessionally and horribly, that was by a commissioner, but it certainly wasn't by me. Ms. Lehrman said nobody did anything about it. That's incorrect. The other 5 commissioners on that board looked to our chairman, who was Commissioner Cook, who shut the individual down. And then post that meeting, we, each of us, the 5, had conversations with Jason Zakaria, the director of the health district. And I can't speak to what the others said, but I offered to bring forward a motion to formally rebuke, censure, use whatever term you want, the commissioner who did that. It was exceedingly inappropriate. And I think if you were to, I know, if you were to consult with the director of the health district and or Dr. Person, you would find that there's been no bigger champion and advocate and supporter for Dr. Person in the difficult job that she's doing than me. That's just simply the truth of it. And I would encourage you to reach out to them and affirm that. The reference to a PSA and commissioners not willing to participate, another utter distortion. When we had a press conference at Three Rivers Convention Center with elected leaders from around the Tri-Cities, it was me that was standing in front of the camera wearing a mask, giving a speech almost about the fact that a mask is not that much to ask. And if you can't get around the idea of wearing it, think of it as a matter of respect. It isn't just to keep you from getting COVID, it's to prevent you from giving it to others. So I was there side by side with all the other elected leaders in the Tri-Cities in the Three Rivers, doing a live press conference, giving that pitch: mask, distancing, and sanitizing. So the suggestion that I've been absent or unavailable to support that is utterly false.
I know we want to get to other topics, but I think what Kim's point is on one issue is, is the public, getting out to the public some of this. And you're talking about some of the things that you've done behind the scenes. Are there some things that you wish you'd done more publicly along this, in the last few months?
Well, we have, all 3 commissioners have offered to do PSAs for the health department. I have encouraged, as I said earlier, hiring professional communications counsel to get Dr. Person and Jason Zakaria out in front. They are the experts. She has a medical degree, not me. He's the administrator of the health district, not me. He's leading the team over there, not me. I don't think I should be micromanaging that process, but I've been absolutely available for anything and everything that they've asked. Now, at the root of your question is, do I think that the commissioners is improper? When we're serving in that capacity, we're members of the Board of Health. We're not county commissioners. Do I think that the members of the Board of Health should have forced ourselves out into the dialogue? No, I don't think so. And well, I'll just tell you, I consulted with Jason Zakaria, making sure that they had the support that they needed, making sure that he knew I was available if there's anything that they wanted us to do. And that prompted the request to participate in the press conference at Three Rivers. So there's been no reluctance. If anything, there's been a respectful acknowledgement that Dr. Person is really the lead. She is the health officer. She is our official contact with the state health department. I'm happy to defer to her expertise, but she knows, and Jason knows, I'm 110% available for anything that they need.
So I've got another question. We'll go in a different direction. So this race is very interesting because a write-in candidate has emerged from the Franklin County Republican Party. And I guess, Brad, you just got done talking a lot. I'm gonna let Kim talk and then we'll go to you. But how does that affect your campaign? Does it affect it at all, Kim?
It really doesn't. It's that is an issue between Brad and his Republican Party. That's not an issue with my campaign. We're still working hard, making sure that we get out the vote in many different methods, making sure that we are connecting with our Franklin County residents. I've been fortunate enough to have Franklin County residents who are both Republican and also Democrat reach out to me and share with me their concerns with what's been going on for the last several years in Franklin County and how it's affected them. I've had many nurses reach out to me and talk to me about how devastating this COVID-19 crisis has been and how the inconsistent guidance from our leadership has been much more challenging for them than they had expected, especially during a pandemic. They really thought that there'd be a stronger sense of, we support you, essential workers, we support you, frontline workers, whatever you need, we're gonna help you so we can be able to get through this together. And so really working on reaching out to my community and learning about their hardships and their hopes and their dreams. And so the write-in candidate against Brad Peck isn't something that is something that my campaign has been dealing with or
Okay.
putting energy into.
Isn't it going to affect your candidacy though, Kim? If the Republicans split their vote between the write-in and Brad, doesn't that strengthen you? And then how do you then answer the concern that Brad has that you're then going to be in a commission with two new commissioners and the incumbent being one that I understand that's the one you've been criticizing. How can you manage in that sort of a situation?
Yeah. So one, yes, it could possibly end up helping me out with my my race. I try to just keep my nose down and work hard and not shake that crystal ball that seems to be often cloudy for a lot of us. And we'll see how everything turns out far as who ends up receiving the most amount of votes November 3rd or when all the ballots are counted. Second, yes, that would make me one of the new commissioners on the board. One of the things that I've been doing is I've been absolutely a student of Franklin County's government. And so that means that I'm diving in, I'm looking through the entire county website, meeting with department heads, past employees and current employees. As I said, talking to constituents across the county, trying to be able to learn as much as I possibly can. So therefore, when I do take on the role, if elected, then I'll be prepared. What I have learned time and time again from talking to county employees is that they feel not respected in the sense that without having governing priorities, it's very difficult for them to time and time again jump into the newest whim from the Franklin County commissioners put in the overtime, have something produced, ready to go, and then the next county commission shows up and that item's not even talked about or ever talked about again. And so one of the things I would want to do is create governing priorities through county commissioner workshops in working with our county department heads. So that way these employees that support our county government, the over 2,500 years of expertise, can be fully valued. And I would want to do that in an open door kind of setting so that they know they can be able to come and talk to me. And every time I talk to a county employee about governing priorities, there's yes, yes, that's what we need. Every time I talk about that. So how to be able to work with the individual that we're not naming at this point in time.
Okay.
Growing up on a family farm, an older brother and a younger brother, every single day, I had to learn how to be able to voice my opinion in a way that they could hear it. Then I chose to put myself through college in a male-dominant field of agriculture and become an agriculture educator. And then I took a welding class and also became a welding instructor, another male-dominant field. So I have been preparing my whole professional and personal life and how to be able to work with the Clint Didiers of the world.
All right, I'm going to let Brad speak to the original question, which was about the write-in candidate and how that's affecting his campaign. Go for it, Brad.
Thank you. I actually got my notepad out because we took a little trip around 2 or 3 farms there. With respect to the race, that's a very appropriate and timely question. And here's how it stacks up. My master's degree is comm and statistics, so I kind of like the numbers and I've chewed through it and I've looked at multiple races. And the bottom line is that statistically, I see virtually no chance that this write-in candidate wins this seat. But it's a very realistic possibility to split the vote enough to elect Ms. Lehrman. If that happens, I'll certainly have no animus to her. This is not her doing. I would speak to the reason that I think that this is happening is that we've got a commissioner, and since Ms. Lehrman's already thrown his name out, I'll go ahead and cite Commissioner Didier in particular, who, well, let me put it this way. I would encourage people to watch and listen to our board meetings, and you'll see a difference in style. You'll see a retired military officer who is sticking to facts, not personalities, reason, logic, consequences, the law, and the things that are appropriate to do. Mr. Didier has found that inconvenient. And when I reversed the vote on opening the county, he took umbrage, to say the least. He was recently on Kona Radio, and even after having been briefed by our Public Works Department about a road closure some years ago, he still contends that somehow or other I went out and closed the road near his property as a personal affront. And he actually said in the radio that it was personal. So there's a personal element there where he feels that the county somehow didn't treat him well. There's what I would candidly call and publicly call a bullying tactic that just doesn't work well with retired military officers, especially those who stick to the facts. He finds that uncomfortable and inconvenient. And if he can find a way to remove me, then that makes it easier for him to lead as he prefers apparently to lead. He was the one who recruited Mr. Beaton, a gentleman that I helped get elected auditor numerous years ago. Mr. Beaton, as you probably remember, ran against me 4 years ago. I beat him by several percentage points. He ran again in the primary. I came in first. Ms. Lehrman came in second. Mr. Beaton came in third. Therefore, Mr. Beaton was out. At that point, I think Mr. Didier felt that his only remaining option was to attempt a write-in. And I think his desire to dominate and control the board is reflected by the fact that he apparently would prefer, and now this is coming from the chairman of the Franklin County Republican Party, Mr. Didier is currently that person. He has said that he would prefer to have a Democrat than someone who, and I'm paraphrasing here, but someone who won't follow his lead and vote his way. There was a third point in there, and it had to do with staff. You know, with respect to Ms. Lehrman's lack of experience as a commissioner, obviously she's not been in the seat and doesn't have the benefit of knowing that our elected officials in the various departments in the courthouse jealously and appropriately, to a certain extent, guard their domains. I do not tell the coroner how to run his office. I certainly don't tell the sheriff how to, or the assessor, or the clerk, or the auditor. If there is a discussion about governance to be had, that staff has it with their elected official and with the county administrator. It is not considered polite government, and it is not welcome for commissioners to wade into staff agencies and start querying various staffs of elected officials. They take umbrage quickly. That doesn't mean that we aren't available. Certainly we are. And I do get calls occasionally. I'm the guy that has his personal cell phone number on the website. So, you know, it's in fairness to Ms. Lehrman, she hasn't worked in this environment and hasn't been exposed to the silos of elected governments that our state constitution dictates.
But Brad, it would seem like the revolt is more than just Didier. Or is he that strong on the Central Committee that week that he can get a 25-1 vote out of the Central Committee to run a write-in?
Excellent question.
Brad, are there other issues that the party is concerned about with you?
Sure. Well, let me speak to the numbers. In 2013 and 14, I was the chair of the Franklin County Republican Party. I came in with $14,000 in the bank and left them with roughly $90,000 in the bank. We had two of the largest Lincoln Day fundraising dinners for Republicans in state history. One of them, I think, is still the largest in state history. I led the teams that did both of those. My credentials as a Republican are very strong. At that time, we had 50, 60, in some cases, nearly 70 precinct committee officers participating. The reason that vote was 25-1 is because 2/3 of them have left in one way or another. They're either not actively participating, they don't want to have anything to do with this particular event or activity. But these are people who are very, very, I'm a pretty conservative guy, Jack. They're well right of me, and that's saying something. They're the same folks that were out and about promoting Mr. Shea, Representative Shea, and his views. I'm not in that camp, and they have decided that they want to open up the county. They have decided apparently that I'm the guy that is preventing that from happening, and to a certain extent I am. If I were to vote yes with Commissioner Didier on that unlawful activity, here's what would happen. First thing that would happen is that a notice would go out to all the businesses, and they would be led to believe that their county commissioners had the authority to open the county. They would open their businesses. L&I would fine them $10,000 for opening. They have done that and have said that they will do that. That'll lead to some additional businesses being closed with business licenses being revoked by the state, all because the citizens took an act or an action with their business that they believed to be lawful because their board of commissioners misled them. And so I have stood firm and said, this is not lawful. I won't support it. And those 25 or so people are the ones that are adamant about the fact that we need to open, we can open. It's just that our commissioners won't do it. And very quickly, I'll just say, I am an advocate of opening up a lot more than we have now. I believe that the virus is spread by behavior, not by geography. And I think that if we're willing to wear masks whenever, I mean, as much as possible, and we do our social distancing and we do the sanitizing, that we can open up a lot more than we have now. There will always be exceptions until we get this thing fully suppressed. But I'm hard pressed to explain why it's okay for me to stand in a Lowe's store and shop for hardware, but not in a mom and pop grocery. Well, grocery store is a bad example because they're essential, but a small mom and pop tool store somewhere. The government has been picking winners and losers, and where we can safely, we need to open up everything. And by the way, I think you'll see that reflected. I expect that the governor this week will likely take us, if not this week, very soon, to phase 2. keeping in mind that, we're number 6 or 7 in the stack in terms of infection rates. King County being first, Yakima second, Pearson, then you work down, and Spokane's in there, and eventually you get to Benton and Franklin. And then, well, I don't want to be irresponsible here and take more than my share of time. Is there something else I can speak to that question?
No.
Thank
I
you.
have a question for Kim. Cecilia, were you asking something?
No, go for it.
Okay.
No, go for it.
What is your position on splitting Benton and Franklin Superior Court operation?
I'm very much opposed to it. I think on the one hand, I'm sorry, was that question for me?
You'll both get it.
Okay, well then I will be short and allow Ms. Lehrman. I apologize for jumping in. I think it's a very bad idea. I don't think that we get the fiscal efficiencies that people believe we do. But what we do achieve is an efficiency in the dockets, where a single county like Franklin may not have enough, say, family or civil matters to fill a docket for a full day. But when you combine those, you're able to do a day or 2 full days between the 2 counties. And it's a much more efficient use of the time in the courtrooms in the 2 counties. So it isn't a fiscal efficiency as much as it is a quality of service to the citizens, and the fact that it gives them more timely access to government. So I'm very much opposed to it.
Lehrman?
I'll agree with Mr. Peck, Commissioner Peck. That has been the same with my research too. But I'll go ahead and take a step forward, and I'll apply it to the Juvenile Detention Center. As a former teacher, often we'd be asked to create lesson plans for the students who are at the juvie. And these lesson plans would leave our school or our campus and hopefully get delivered and never return. So I reached out to the director of the Juvie Center, Daryl Banks, and asked him, what can be done to be able to support these children who hopefully will end up having some positive experiences and directions to end up being contributing members of our society in the future. And he said the #1 way to be able to help them is by honoring the bi-county agreement. We must keep the Juvie Center open and available for both the Benton and Franklin County, because trying to divide that out is fiscally irresponsible. You'd have to end up creating 2 or 1 more facility, when in fact they actually need 1 larger facility for both, but it wouldn't be fiscally responsible to have 2 small facilities working. And so we said, we need to keep that. We need to have commissioners that are listening to the department heads of these different bi-county agreements and honoring the work that they do. And it was a really amazing experience walking through the detention center, because every single worker that I met, this director had a positive story about them and about how hard they work to be able to positively influence these future citizens of our future voting citizens of our community. And all throughout the old building was inspirational quotes and artwork that was done by the incarcerated, so that way they can be able to feel that some art therapy, but also the ability to be able to spread on their positive messages onto others, and know that they're a contributing member of our society and that they can believe themselves and do better. And so honoring our bi-county agreements is absolutely important to me, especially when we bring in the department heads to be able to share out their perspective and their experience of their staff and who they serve.
You mentioned the.
Laurie, may I respond to that second piece?
Sure.
So I agree that the juvenile center absolutely needs to stay a bi-county program. I have more than a passing knowledge of it. Many people know that my son for many years has been one of the functional family therapists there, working with the young people. And that's a particular level of therapy where they work with the individual and with their families. It requires a national certification. And I've had numerous conversations with Mr. Banks. Myself and Commissioner Delvin actually led a delegation from the governor's office and relative consultants through the facility and have twice made pitches to get funding from the state, several $1,000,000, to either update that facility or replace it. But there's been no discussion about splitting that program, and I certainly wouldn't support it. And then lastly, I'll say quickly, and you may want to come back for more detail, but there are at least 3 different ways that the counties can cooperate and do cooperate. It can be a bi-county program like we have at Juvenile Justice, or it can be a contractual relationship like we have with Human Services, where one county runs it, the other county contracts for the services. And then the third option is each county can run their own. It's not always about efficiency. Sometimes it's about the quality of services and the delivery to the citizens. But we have programs that operate under each of those 3 different models. And so when a program is separated, it is not necessarily an indication of divisiveness. It may in fact be that we found a way without significant cost change to provide and deliver better service. Commissioner Delvin and I have talked many times, and as recently as today, about these matters. So the notion that there isn't cooperation there truly is a misnomer. And when the time's appropriate, if you want to speak more about examples of those 3 different cooperative tools, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, because we're running out of time, but I did want to ask Kim about, you said that you've been doing a lot of your research and background on the county. What do you know about the budget shortfall that's facing the county as a result of, the COVID issues? And, I guess I'm wondering what you've seen about that and how, what your thoughts are on handling that.
Well, at one point, our state was predicting a 15% budget shortfall. And then recently with listening to Department of Commerce, Dr. Brown, I believe, she did a Zoom meeting along with the associations of Washington businesses, and they projected more closer to 11%. And so that's a good sign. That's a good sign that we're heading the right direction for us at state level. Then at the county level, on yesterday, October 6th, the auditor's office put out their preliminary budget, and the preliminary budget looks quite good considering that we just went through a pandemic. So the auditor's office is predicting less than a 1% budget shortfall for next year. And that's roughly around a little over $400,000, and out of a $37 million budget. And with that kind of shortfall, if we use innovative ideas like hiring a grant writer or contracting with a grant writer, then we can be able to overcome those budget shortfalls. And the great idea about a grant writer is that they can also be able to help train department heads and staff about their techniques and methods and how to be able to aggressively attract grants. And so this concept not only serves us really well for like the next upcoming year, but it has the opportunity to take root for years to come. And so I was happy to see that our Franklin County residents are doing the very best they can on paying their property taxes in order for our county to have the revenue it needs in order to fully serve our county.
Brad, what can you say about the budget situation, and also maybe address the money that you need to keep moving out of the county road fund?
Sure. So you said we're running out of time. This is an all-day topic, so I'll try to be quick. First off, I've seen the same preliminary budget. And the reality, the simple truth is, if we were not growing as fast as we are, we would be in serious financial trouble. The way the county government is financed is very different than state. And to look at commerce and state revenues and think that that in some way is an indicator of what's going to happen at the county respectfully shows a lack of exposure to the issues. The fact of the matter is that counties can, by law, only collect $101, that's $101 for every $100 they collected the year previous. It's not a 1% increase in the rate, it's 1% additional money. Where we managed to squeak by is that in addition to that, you bring in all of the new valuation, which is new construction, new taxpayers, new property. Were it not for that, we'd be in desperate shape. And the future for us is bleak if that growth drops off precipitously, but we are truly blessed to have that growth right now, or we'd be in dire straits. The reference to grants, we already use a number of grants. I will call out Sheriff Jim Raymond in particular has been really, really impressive in finding grants to fund new and better programs, equipment for his people. And there are others, I don't mean to just single him out. You know, the $37 million budget is just a little bit under, that's our whole budget, it's just a little bit under the budget, the operating and maintenance budget for the Ben Franklin Transit. Sort of puts it in perspective of the amount of money that Franklin County operates on. It's not a great deal. And I'm sorry, there was a third thing in there that you were asking me about.
Well, I've heard that the road
Oh, the
department.
road shift. Yeah, thank you. So road shifts vary. Most of the 39 counties in Washington use them. It is a lawful technique. It is made necessary by the fact that the legislature has only given us that 1% authority. We can only collect $1 more per $100 we collected last year, $101 this year. Even with the new valuation of new development, there's still not enough without doing a road shift. In 2009-10, as we headed into the recession, I'm the guy that drafted the majority of that budget. And it was unfortunate, but we had to make some very difficult cuts in budgets and in some cases staffing. We've recovered from that and our growth rate has kept us from having to do it. But I'll tell you that if we were to take out the road shift and go to a zero road shift, you would see cuts in programs and staffing.
Martine VALADEZ asked me if he could jump in. So go ahead, Martine.
Yeah, so thank you both. You know, I know this is a challenging topic, but, you know, given that for sure, continuing Commissioner Mr. Didier, and given, you know, just who he is and what he thinks and how he works, you know, what would be a successful path moving forward for each of you to make it a successful commission? You know, I mean, it's been very difficult, and I know you've been in the middle of it, Brad. So, and I mean, I know it's difficult, but, you know, really, so you're going to have one new person, and you, if you get reelected, and for Ms. Lehrman, you know, she's going to be there with two new people. And so, I mean, what's the strategy to have a successful meetings, given that the continuing person is Mr. Didier?
Yeah. May I go first?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Please listen to the recordings of the Franklin County meetings. What you will hear consistently is that when Mr. Didier brings up something that is lawful and I think is good for the county, I am the first one to thank him, to acknowledge that I agree with his assessment and that I'm happy to support it. The most recent example was about a week ago when he offered to go help find and recruit new members to serve in our Veterans Advisory Board. And I thanked him for that. And I make it a point, a matter of professional pride, to look for those opportunities when he is doing things that serve the interest of the county. When he doesn't, my duty is not to him. My duty is to the 95,000 people who live in Franklin County. My first thing is to make sure we don't do anything unlawful, make sure we don't do anything unethical, and certainly, hopefully, nothing that's immoral. And those are really the three filters that I use. I will support him when I can. I will support him even when I don't completely agree, but I won't support him when he wants to do something that is unlawful or is not, in my view, in the best interest of the county. But if you listen to meetings, you'll find that I have done that respectfully, quietly, and firmly. And I think that's the way to work with Mr. Didier. I'll point out that he and Mr. Mullen, who's running for the other seat, are two of the folks orchestrating the current election events, or at least I believe they are. There's plenty of evidence to that effect, including donations from them to the write-in candidate. I think that's pretty solid. So that's two votes right there. So
Right,
it's,
can I just follow up on Martine's question? I think you've answered it completely. Yes, you're going to be reasonable. You're going to deal with him, but that's only half the equation. Is he going to be able to deal with you?
well, I don't see that any of my behaviors, Jack, have elicited a response that's problematic. And again, I refer people to the meetings. If you listen to the meetings, you get the voice inflection, you get the tone, you get the logic, you get the respect. Now,
From him to
candidly,
you? From him to you?
no, I'm afraid not, but I'm still
Well,
working on that.
That's the issue, I think, that bothers
Well,
me.
it's,
Yes, it works one way.
it doesn't matter who's sitting in that seat. It's going to be a 2-to-1 vote if you don't go his way. It doesn't matter, frankly, candidly, whether it's me or Ms. Lehrman.
Why don't we let Kim have a chance to talk?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sorry,
As,
Kim.
as a representative for all Franklin County residents, I would make sure that I enter into the room every single time ready to listen to my other two commissioners respectfully, and to come in with a heart ready to meet in the middle and be able to collaborate. I don't feel that there is enough time that Commissioner Didier and Mr. Peck have spent together in a professional setting and through workshops, through offering opportunities from local professionals to come in and be able to unpack what are the issues. Because obviously these issues are deep, and at this point, we only know one version of the issues, and that's Commissioner Peck's. And it sounds like this is issues that's been going on and on for quite some time. And unfortunately, us Franklin County citizens are stuck in the middle of their back and forth. Yes, at times Commissioner Peck has held him back, if you will. And then other times he's played along. And with the April 21st opening, he definitely played along with Commissioner Peck's willingness to open up the county and to thump his nose at the governor. And we saw that again on Tuesday's meeting. Commissioner Didier makes a swipe at the governor. All three kind of chuckle. There's a little long silence. It looks like the meeting's about ready to move on. And then Commissioner Peck throws in his swipe at the governor. This is during a pandemic, that this is how our commissioners choose to act. This is how our commissioners choose to represent us. So no, unfortunately, sometimes Commissioner Peck does end up making the wrong choices and representing our community and trying to be able to set the positive example for Commissioner Didier. And another example was back in June when he chose to try to regulate what the Benton Franklin Health District could be able to do for educating about June Pride Month. Him and Commissioner Didier both band together on trying to shut down what some people would look at is serving our LGBTQ community. So what I would encourage is more workshops talking about governing priorities, trying to be able to find that common ground. Growing up on a family farm, I have some common ground with Commissioner Didier. Being a former welding teacher, I've met many Commissioner Didiers. And so that's someone I feel like I can be able to work with, as someone I feel like there is tools in the tool shed to be able to work with him, but I don't feel like they've been utilized, and at least not very apparent to the public.
Okay. Well, we're getting, our hour is up.
Just a brief reply, if I might, to a couple
Sure.
of those. Once again, I encourage people to listen to the meetings. It's not a swipe at the governor to say, I don't agree with the governor's policy, I'm not a fan. But the reality is, there's one commissioner out of the three that gets calls from the governor's staff, who is on a first name basis with the folks at the state health department and the governor's staff. I've got a fellow commissioner who is throwing stones and suing the governor while I'm trying to mend fences and build bridges that keep us an open dialogue. And quite candidly, a fair amount of the progress that we have had that has allowed us to get a hearing at the state level and move things forward is because of that dialogue. And, not to betray their confidence, I'm not going to say what they have shared about my fellow commissioner, but I will say that it hasn't been helpful. And I put an awful lot of energy into trying to maintain those relationships. So to somehow suggest that, three commissioners were having a good laugh at the governor's expense is inappropriate and incorrect, frankly.
Okay, I think we should do our closing. This was a quick hour.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, it's a good
yeah,
hour.
yes. So Commissioner Peck went first on the opening. Kim, I'm going to let you go first on the closing.
Okay. Elected officials are public servants. They are there to serve all of us. The citizens of our county yearns for a commissioner who's willing to lead through listening. Agriculturists, respected civic leaders, hardworking residents, and business owners are supporting me. They are the backbone of our community, and I'm humbled by my neighbors and community members' support. They have donated, volunteered, and voted for me. Residents holding different political ideologies, they're voting for me. All of these people are supporting our campaign because they know I will represent the values of our community and will provide the leadership our county needs at this moment. The endorsements I have received reflects a desire in our community to have leaders who are representatives of the people and for the people. We deserve a commissioner who builds bridges, seeks consensus, and shows up. We deserve a leader who is willing to put people over politics and hear our county's diverse voices. We deserve a commissioner who will listen to science and policy experts, not attack them. Franklin County stands at a crossroads. My opponent was elected to serve in the last 3 elections. When he ran in 2008, he promised that he would address fair redistricting, lingering issues with the county jail system, provide fiscal responsibility. Yet, after 12 years in office, the campaign issues my opponent originally campaigned on so many years ago have not been resolved. Our county's voters have a choice about whether we continue with the same unkept promises. And quite honestly, Franklin County residents deserve better. I love this county and I believe in its future. Franklin County voters have an important decision to make about what type of leader they want serving them. Your vote to endorse my candidacy is an endorsement of leadership that is innovative, transparent, and collaborative. Thank you very much for having us today. And I encourage anyone who wants to learn more about me to visit electkimlehrman.com.
Thanks, Kim. Okay, Brad.
So let me use part of my time to respond to a couple of things there. I actually have redistricted. I think we've done it twice. The law limits how often you can do it. So we, in fact, did that. And my fellow commissioners are not ready to do it yet, but I've advocated for it for the last 2 years. The people spoke, I think, loudly in the primary. They have seen me as a commissioner for several years. They've seen my performance. They know my commitment. And they have chosen through the primary system to make me their Republican candidate. With respect to who really knows best what a commissioner does day to day and what their performance is, look to the people who endorse them. I'm endorsed for re-election by every state representative in the 8th and 9th legislative districts in Olympia. Those are the representatives that cover all the Tri-Cities in Franklin County. I'm endorsed in the courthouse. Now, these are people that are day-to-day contemporaries, people I work with on every issue imaginable. I'm endorsed by the sheriff, the prosecuting attorney, the assessor, the clerk, the coroner, and our chairman, my fellow commissioner, Bob Cook. I'm endorsed by all those people. You might ask, well, what about a couple of the others that you didn't name, like the auditor and maybe the treasurer? Those are people that either have run against me in the past and want the seat or have talked about running in the next cycle. So I can understand why they would be reluctant to endorse me. Also endorsed by the state representatives, Joe Schmick and Mary Dye from the 9th. I think I mentioned 8th and 9th. So really, when it comes down to evaluating a candidate, the people who know you best are the people that work with you day to day. And to have all of those people standing firmly behind me and saying, Brad is the right person at the right time, combined with the fact that we simply, I don't think, want to have a board of commissioners that is the least experienced board in the state of Washington. And were it not for 3 commissioners being all fired at the same time, I would say we would be the least. So I think you need to bring me back to serve another term so that the experience that I've been privileged to gain is available to the board and to the county. I look forward to serving.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Thank you, Kim. That was great. It was very good.
I think there's a lot of good content there. Thank you. For the
Yes, it
opportunity.
is. There was. Thank you very much. It was great.
Yeah.
All righty.
Thank you both.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Martine.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time. Thank you for the questions.
Yep.